What are you doing to resolve these conflicts between the two groups and within other groups coming up in the Niger Delta region?
Well, there are not only two groups for that matter.
Within the groups?
The first strategy is, or the first approach, is the fact that we are talking to everybody. The second is we deal with each group's presentation according to the merit of the issues involved. And so, on this note, we have an open-end approach as far as people are ready to talk with the government and place before the government things that can be discussed within the purview and limits of policy, law, without breaching any fundamental aspect of the laws and civil approaches toward resolving the issues on hand.
The refined Niger Delta Avengers group is also coming up. They are threatening to protest the alleged intimacy between the federal government and the Edwin Clark's group. So is the federal government taking side with the Edwin Clark's group, and why, if so, why is the federal government adopting the representation of the Edwin Clark's group?
One thing is sure, no group will use the federal government as a tool for self-antagonism. We do not know what issues anybody or any people have with Edwin Clark group. And not even the Edwin Clark group will tell us not to talk to any other group. I have said it repeatedly. The federal government, in its intense determination to make sure that there is sustained peace in the region, is open to talk with anybody, everybody, as far as it is an organized system, organized group, and we see what they are presenting as helping in the dialogue process.
Would this not amount to duplication of roles between the Operation Delta Safe that is given the statutory mandate to protect oil installations within the Niger Delta region?
Well, well, I do not think that the groups called HOSCOM and Edwin Clark group are necessarily protecting the oil installations. I see them as dialogue groups suggesting ways for sustenance of peace, either through the protection or engagement of youths or infrastructure provision and so on. But the Operation Delta Safe is a surveillance group, so to say, for the purpose of this protection. So to talk of duplication of roles in this view is not actually the proper perspective. Operation Delta Safe represents government in that, but the groups tend to be talking about the interest of the region. And so, if Operation Delta Safe is set up by government to protect or to survey or to monitor the surveillance of economic infrastructure in the region or installations, then a sustainable or a more sustainable approach is the one that government is trying to adopt based on the outcome of the dialogue that says the communities want to be involved, the youth want to be involved. Because Operation Delta Safe, at some point, should also return to base, at least carry out minimal, occasional supervision when sustainable peace returns to the place in respect of threats to the installations.
How do you create a synergy between the Operation Delta Safe and these surveillance groups from the Niger Delta region?
Yeah, by the time, I think it is what we will look at from the angle of complementing their roles. At present, some of the people or some of the groups see Operation Delta Safe as a threat to the peaceful existence of the communities and the activities in the communities. But by the time we are able to actually engage the youths and the program gets rolling, it therefore means that the community indigenes who are assisting in this regard will necessarily be giving information. There will be a collaboration of what roles they have to play, complementing one and the other on how they carry out their functions. So it will be a more perfect thing. For now, because the operation of the youth in surveillance has not fully gravitated, it will look as if it is competitive. But we know we are gradually working toward a program where they will be complementary instead.
Are you considering the cost implications? This is a time when the country is battling serious economic challenges, and now engaging 10,000 youths is another cost. Are you considering the cost implication?
In fact, in my view, it will be rather a cost reduction approach. Because if the 10,000 youths are involved or engaged, whatever their earnings will be, whatever the cost will be, it will not be as much as having to lose the product on daily basis in hundreds or tens of hundreds of or tens of thousands of barrels. So if you convert that or such losses to what the youths or communities should gain from this surveillance engagement, it will surely be far lesser than having those losses and then still engaging the costs of having to have another force supervising the logistic costs and all that. So in our view, we think having the harmony will give us a more perfect condition or environment, while at the same time, the cost will be lesser.
Now, would this arrangement not undermine the state security, since you are opening up the state security flange to a group other than one of the Operation Delta Safe?
No, in respect of security, you know, when you talk of security, you have from planning to operations. And I am not competent enough to talk about issues of security and their implications. We can only suggest or get advice on what we see or give information based on what we think.
Did you seek security advice before embarking on this project? Because many people are saying that this is a potential security risk.
Well, the platform on which that is being done has a superior authority superintending. It's as good as, you know, taking a comparison from the amnesty program, which has had 30,000 youths, yet the upheavals keep coming from this vandalization. So if 10,000 in this engagement is profitable, going side by side with what we have had as 30,000 youths under the amnesty and spending much money out there, I believe this will gradually be a rehabilitation or exit strategy for any other program as far as maintaining peace in the region is concerned.
You may also join in this conversation by sending us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Coming up on Question Time, setting the record straight on the Niger Delta Amnesty Program.